Hi, this is Gadget Man 404, and as you can see, this is the Syma x8c. I've got a FPV camera transmitter rigged up. How I've done that, camera is on the top, and I've put the transmitter and aerial inside one of the legs and cable tied it on. So I'm just getting ready for I think this is my second FPV flight. So here we go, just setting it all up, and off we go. Now at this point I actually set the camera leaning back quite a bit, so when I was flying I couldn't actually see much of where I was going. I've edited this video because it was quite long, and I'm just coming over the fields now, and I'll be coming sort of towards myself in a few minutes, well, a few seconds I think. As I'm just coming in, wherever I am, I can't even see it myself. So it's just coming over the tree line at the back, and I'll be coming towards myself any second. I think you can just start to see me lowering down, coming to the tree line. There you go. Now this is with my 2200 milliamp hour battery, 2-cell, 7.4 volts, and it is so sluggish, that battery, that I don't know if there's something wrong with it or what, but it's always the same. All the flights I do, I don't seem to get much power. It doesn't give me any longer flight time, as obviously the more weight of the battery you're using, the extra power you have will be carrying the actual battery itself. So you don't actually gain a lot of extra. I mean, I always thought that, you know, bigger capacity battery you'll get more airtime. I think that only works if you're looking at 3 cells and 4 cells, etc. But as a 2-cell, you're not really gaining much in regards extra airtime. But that's why I always used to do that, because I wanted more airtime. But it never worked out that way. So I'm just sort of at the bottom of the field, coming towards myself again, and very good flight. It wasn't a very good clear day. It wasn't very sunny, as you can see, very cloudy, and as I say, I didn't have the FPV camera mounted enough forward, so it was I wasn't getting a good picture at this point. So at some stages I was like, well, where the hell am I? And even with the camera being mounted on top, you still lose your perspective of distance. You forget, when you're looking at the screen, you're forgetting how high you are until you look up at your quad. But at this point I'm just sort of keeping it low now. I think the battery was beeping at this point. This was about 5.5 minutes. So I'm still just keeping it close to me. I'm looking at the lights. Don't think the lights are flashing yet, but I'm just sort of keeping it close, and eventually I will land it, because it's sort of the thing to do. I think at this time the lights are flashing, so I have to be careful when I land it because of the aerial. I don't want to break it off the transmitter. And yeah, it was a fairly good flight actually. I was very impressed with the setup that I'm using. I'm using a Tang monitor, FPV monitor watch, and it's really good actually. I mean, people are saying, oh, don't use it as your main FPV, but I've mounted it onto my transmitter, and you can use it. You can see where you're going, as long as you have your camera facing forward quite a bit, because these quads don't really pitch forward even in the high mode or high rates. So, you know, I think it's a good setup. That camera that I'm using it's actually for the HK350 quadcopter, but I've decided to install it on the top of mine anyway. And it's really good picture. You do get a very clear image, great in low light conditions as well. It doesn't have to be a super bright day, and it's worth it. I mean, the monitor, FPV monitor watch, costs about £23. The camera and transmitter, and that's a 200 milliwatt, that costs £16. So the whole setup, FPV on a quad, for under £40. So I highly recommend people try an FPV with any quad. People that haven't done it before, don't know what to expect. I think it's fantastic. I love FPV, and now I've done about 4 flights, and it's just, you know, cockpit view. You are in the pilot's seat and you can see where you're going, so for that you can't beat it really. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed the video. This has been Gadget Man 404 out.